feels great. I think it's you know, we've been together for a long time. This is our sixth album. The first album came out 20 years ago. I feel what's great about this one is that after all these years, I think that we feel very confident about the music that's on this record. I feel like our skills as for producing and songwriting have gotten better and better. And I feel like more than ever, this is a record that really represents us as a band so well, you know, musically, lyrically. It feels very, it doesn't feel forced in any way. You know, it feels like this is Simple Plan that we've always wanted to be. We put together this album like in 2019, and by early 2020, we finished everything up and we loved it, and we were prepared to release it in 2020. And then when the pandemic hit, it just kind of like threw us a curveball that we didn't really know what was going to happen. We knew we couldn't play shows at the moment. There was so much political stuff going on in the world, and you know, it felt so busy. And also at the same time, because of what was happening with COVID, we all, you know, our kids were getting pulled from school, our, you know, wives, girlfriends were at home with these kids, and we're like, we need to go home and like make sure everyone's cool and kind of help out where we're needed, you know. And I think we use that opportunity to just put the brakes on and focus on family, and just wait for the right time to release this record, because I think that we feel very proud of it. And I think that releasing a record in the pandemic, it can work, and people have done it and people have been very successful doing it. But I think it's very hard for a band like us. We love to tour, we love to go out and play shows, and I feel like that's a big part of how we promote a record, that we wouldn't be able to do that. So we felt it was better to wait, and we thought maybe, you know, in 6 months this should be done. And then 6 months later, we thought maybe another 2-3 months, then we should be done. And then, you know, so on. And then finally, we're like a year and a half in, or 2 years in, and we're like, it's time to release this record no matter what. And luckily, shows are happening again, so it makes sense. I think every album that we make, we always have like, you know, 1 or 2 songs that are a little bit out there, that are a bit different. You know, I think this album is very true to who we are, but we also, being true to who we are, is allowing ourselves to do something different. Yeah, the song Anxiety was a song that we tried many different ways how to produce it to find the one that felt right. And I think that's always the key. It's not about trying to do something that sounds necessarily different, but it's more about, you know, when you write a song and you can play it on acoustic guitar and you can sing it, then you have to figure out like how are you going to decorate this thing? What kind of house are you going to build to put this song in, you know? And we tried, I know that the song Anxiety was kind of originally was like a faster, darker, distorted guitars, fast kind of punk beat. And that felt good, but it didn't feel like it was really impactful with the lyric. And then we tried a bunch of different styles. And then we landed on this style that, to me, you know, it's got the influence of like Summer Paradise, where it's got like a little bit of reggae beat, but a little bit more modern, like 21 Pilots vibe a little bit. And it felt good. We put that together, and I was with Chuck and Travis from We the Kings, and I started putting a demo together and doing that. And as soon as we got that sound, we're like, yeah, that's it, you know? So that's the key. And that's what's fun, is that we get to experiment. And once we land something that feels right, we all know it, you know? So that was kind of how that one ended up the way it is. The why is a simple answer, because we are always going to put out, Simple Plan's not going to change, you know, who we are drastically. So whatever record we put out, doesn't matter if it's 2016 or 14 or 10 or 2030, it's going to be a pop punk record. That's what we do. But the difference is, to me, it's this is the weird thing about being where we are today. I don't feel very different. I still feel like the same guy that wrote I'm Just a Kid, Welcome to My Life, Untitled, Summer Paradise, Jet Lag, all these songs. I feel like the same person. I still feel like those songs, and it makes me feel the same way. What's bizarre is that I realize that I'm getting older. You know, I realize that I'm in my 40s now and I have kids, but we're still on tour. We're still doing what we love to do. So it's bizarre because it doesn't feel different. You know, to me, when we released this album, it feels the same way as it did when I released my first album. I mean, a little bit different, but it really feels the same. It feels like we're putting out stuff. We hope people like it. We love playing it live. And we cross our fingers that it will connect with people in a big way. But the difference is now is that we're also very appreciative and grateful that we have the opportunity to do this still today. I guess that feeling wasn't there in 2002. But yeah, we still feel like the same people. We're jumping up and down on stage like we're 22 years old, and we're having a good time doing it. Except once in a while, my knees hurt a little more. We were assigned to a major label for a long time, but they always let us do what we wanted to do. They were always just there to be like, yeah, I agree with that, or I like that, or we should go with this song. And they would usually support what we wanted to do anyways. they weren't, you know, we never felt the pressure of a major label making us do things we didn't want to do. We were always in control of our career. However, now with the freedom, it's cool, but it's also a little intimidating because um, now there's no one else to put the blame on if things don't go well. If we pick the wrong song, if we put a record, if we put a video out that we don't really love that much, we can't blame anybody else. It's all in our control. So it's nice to have that freedom, but it comes with a little bit of responsibility and a little added pressure. But it's been good. I think what's been nice is that we've been able to really focus on what we love and pick the songs that we think our fans will love, and that so far the response has been great. So that's good. I think that it's just a natural evolution of music. You know, I think that if you look at when rock and roll started happening and blues and Elvis Presley, like everything shifts. You know, there's the 70s bands and there's the 80s that brought the hair metal rock, and then that turned into grunge, and then that turned into pop punk. And so I think what's cool to me is the idea that some of these younger pop punk artists, I think, probably have heard Simple Plan, Sum 41, Blink 182 or Green Day, and I think they've probably got influenced by that. And now these people like Olivia Rodrigo, Machine Gun Kelly, Willow, Youngblood, now they're influencing me. You know, so what's really cool is that I think that it becomes full circle, and to me, I think that the sound that people are coming up with is I love it, you know, and I want to emulate that. So it's a nice natural evolution, and I think it's cool to be a band that's been part of the big wave of that stuff in the early 2000s, and now again, you know, so it's cool for us to be able to still be around for that. I think it's in a way, I think it's inevitable, because it's not like it's the genre of pop punk is really good pop, catchy songs that are just a little bit more higher energy, you know. So I think that can never really go out of style. It can never, I mean, it's not specific enough to ever go. It's almost like pop music. It's pop music with a bit of edge to it. So I think it's cool that it's come back. I think it's I hope it stays for a long time. And for me and anyone who's a fan of emo, pop punk, or whatever you want to call it, it never went away, you know. So it's just cool to see that other people are into it. And then you look at like the Kardashians, who are wearing studded belts and getting married with Travis Barker. It just feels very current in a cool way, you know. I think it's I hope it doesn't get overdone where people get sick of it, you know. I want it to stay mainstream again for a while. I would love to collaborate with a newer. I think Olivia Rodrigo is awesome. I think we bought her album on vinyl. My daughter loves her album. But two of my daughters, one of them specifically, loves her very much. I would love to do collaborations with younger people that are up and coming, and I think it's awesome. Definitely always open to that. So Olivia, if you're listening, give me a call. It was pretty simple. So we had we've been trying to figure out together with the two bands to go on tour at some point, and we've been working on that for the last few years. We talked about it. It never really worked out with schedules and album releases. But then finally, like last year in the fall, Sum 41 was like, yeah, we'd love to do it now. We think we can do it next year. So we finally got a tour together, lined that up, had the dates ready to go. And then we figured, we have an album coming out. We have all these songs. I was singing through the whole song, but we figured it's always cool to have fun collaborations. And so we looked for a song that we felt could be cool for that. And Ruin My Life was one of those songs. So I texted Derek. I said, hey, would you be into the idea of singing on one of our songs? Here it is. And I sent him the finished song. The song was all done. And he was like, this song is amazing. He's like, I don't know if I'd be able to make it any better, but I think the song is great. So I said, we'll just take it, see if you can sing the second verse. And if you like it, when we can use it. And if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. So he has a studio at home and he sang it. And immediately all of us were like, this is what the song needed. This is what makes it even better. And we're fans of theirs. And, we know that a lot of our fans love Sum 41. So it seemed like the perfect fit. Was a no-brainer, really. I think the only difficulty going back on stage after so long is sometimes forgetting that we can do it. I think that whether we want to admit it or not, when you're in a band and you also have a private life at home, there's a bit of who we are as like two people. It's like there's Pierre on stage, who's got spiky hair and jumps up and down and has this persona on stage, and then you have my life at home, who I'm a husband, I'm a dad. I like to play golf. I like to do normal things, so when you go and you don't go on stage for so long, I think the one challenge was like to remind ourselves, like, do I still have that? You know, is that part of me still after all this time? And luckily, it's like kind of like riding a bike. You know, you get on stage and within a few songs, like, oh, this is fun. And actually, I have to say, being away from it for so long really gave us a new appreciation for it in a whole new different way. You know, like in a deep appreciation for it that I don't think I ever was. Aware of before. It was always just
Yeah.
part of my life, you know, but getting it taken away for 2 years, I think I look at being on stage and I really appreciate the show. You know, it's not just the going on tour. It's like this, I understand how fortunate we are to be doing this for a living and to still be here after all this time. So it's been really good. It was, like I said, a bit of anxiety at the first show, but once that first show was done, it was like, yeah, this is fun.